What's up, everyone? I'm Elliot.
I'm Phineas.
And we are the Peters Bros, and welcome to our spoiler review for Solo: A Star Wars Story. Watch out, there are spoilers ahead, people, so if you don't want to have the movie spoiled for you, you better leave right now. But don't leave the channel, because we have a spoiler-free review just for you. There's a card right up here. Somewhere on the screen. I haven't decided where I'm going to put it yet. And in the description box below. Click the link, get a drink, sit back, and enjoy the show.
So from this point on, if you get spoiled, it's your own fault.
You have been warned.
Don't sue us.
On the whole, Phineas and I actually really enjoyed this movie. That isn't to say that it didn't have some flaws, because man, does this movie have flaws. What with the hectic behind-the-scenes scandal going on, you know, some weirdness was bound to happen in the final result up on the big screen, but I'm actually really impressed with how Ron Howard was able to pull this thing together and actually give us a movie.
Even if you thought this movie completely sucked, you gotta admit, it was pretty impressive.
Ron Howard's the man.
Ron Howard did a great job.
Give it to him.
I don't know exactly how bad it was behind the scenes, but you can imagine 1 week before you're done filming, firing your directors and having to hire a new guy and reshoot 70% of your movie is pretty bad.
Lord Vader, the fleet has moved down to flight speed and we're preparing to...
You have failed me for the last time, Admiral. Captain Piet.
Yes, my lord.
Make ready to land our troops beyond their energy field, then deploy the fleet so that nothing gets off the system. You are in command now, Admiral Piet.
Thank you, Lord Vader.
Some of our biggest problems with this movie have to do with story structure and or writing issues, which may have been things that were added later by Ron Howard and the Kasdans, or may have been something from the Lord and Miller era. But I think the first act in particular was kind of messy. It was paced pretty horribly, and the first couple scenes were really weighed down by a lot of expositional dialogue. It's really hard for actors to be able to deliver dialogue that has that much exposition in it.
And it's a shame because it's such a great cast.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. If you're not with me, then you're my enemy.
But after the kind of messy prologue, the movie kind of skyrockets and the pace picks up. And then this movie really doesn't stop going. It is a non-stop freight train. And with the new pace, it gets a lot more entertaining. I think that the cast all did a fantastic job. We talked about them a bit in the spoiler-free review. Check that out, link in the description box. But there is one character that I wasn't entirely on board with, and it has nothing to do with Emilia Clarke. She was fantastic. I think that Emilia Clarke is a great actress, and if we see more sequels, love to see her come back. But I do have some problems with the character of Qi'ra herself. For me, her relationship with Han cheapens Han's relationship with Leia. And I'm not sure how it's going to evolve going forward. I think that they still could fix this issue for me, but really seeing what Han has with Qi'ra kind of makes what Han has with Leia a little less special. They don't butt heads in the same way that Han and Leia do, and that's kind of half the charm of watching Han and Leia interact.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder! Nerf herder! Nerf herder! Nerf herder!
Who's scruffy looking?
But I do need to see what makes Han's relationship with Leia special in a way that it wasn't with Qi'ra. In order for the two relationships to remain distinct and important in Han's life, I don't want to watch Empire Strikes Back now and spend the whole time thinking, I wonder if Han's reminded of Qi'ra. There's one thing that we gotta talk about for a second, and that's the fact that Darth Maul was in this movie.
Here's the thing. Okay, guys. Here's the thing. I have no idea whether or not that's a good idea. Personally, I was momentarily excited and then immediately terrified of what
The implications.
of all of the storytelling things that's gonna have to happen. There really are a ton of possibilities, especially if they're making sequels for this film. But I don't think that he's gonna really stick around as a character, because this might have just been a cameo, since we saw in the Star Wars Rebels TV show more of his storyline and how that wraps up.
This is the first full-blown acknowledgement of the extended canon. And I don't mean the EU, I mean this new canon timeline that Disney has established since purchasing Lucasfilm.
And yeah, this is the biggest reference to the prequels, I think, like an exclusive prequels character showing up in one of these new Disney movies.
Yeah. The thing that bugged me about it is that it's so blatantly a setup for future stories. That always takes me out of the moment. We're in full-blown cinematic universe mode now. One thing that I will say is that the Maul reveal actually works really well if you haven't seen the TV show. Long story short, Darth Maul, we have no idea what to expect or whether or not this is a good storytelling choice. But the truth is, he's here now, and we can't do anything to make him go away. Moving forward, though, let's talk about how many characters died in this movie. A lot of characters were, like, here and gone. I was surprised. Characters die all the time in Star Wars movies.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again.
Certain moments in this film kind of worked, but also kind of didn't. There's problems with having the characters' deaths actually, like, affect characters. I think that certain characters died just to move the plot along, while other characters died in a way that should have affected characters, but
it didn't really. Specifically Val, who was Beckett's wife. We didn't even know that they were really married.
Tell us that. Having her die early on in the story is the exact right push that you need in order to move Beckett's character forward.
But he didn't go that far.
He stayed exactly the same.
We had like 6 or 7 minutes of screen time for his character where we actually got to see what he was like before she died, and then it did. So to me, it didn't seem like he changed that much.
And I firmly believe that Beckett would have made the same choices moving forward in the movie than he would have had Val stayed alive.
I will mention Rio's character since I feel like he deserves a mention in this review. It seemed like I don't know what they were trying to do.
He did really deserve a mention, though. That's the sad thing.
So
I think Jon Favreau he's great. But for one thing, I don't really think that Jon Favreau's voice matched the character.
I don't know if he
knew
what the character looked like.
Rio's whole purpose was to die so that there was a job position open for Han.
There was a plot hole at some point where they needed them to already have a pilot. Oh crap, now Han needs we'll kill him there. That's kind of what it felt like watching the movie.
Yeah.
It seemed like he was supposed to be Rocket Raccoon, but he ended up being Miles Strom from Lost.
And this, like, awkward third wheel to Beckett and Val. Something that really sets this movie apart from other Star Wars films is the fact that it has one linear plotline. It has a couple subplots, but for the most part, we stay with Han the entire time. And I think that it really worked. It gave us a completely new flavor and point of view when watching this movie. There were no wipe transitions because we didn't have to cut to any other subplot. It really made us, you know, have to connect with Han. We were staying there with him the whole time. And I thought that, again, Alden Ehrenreich did a fantastic job embodying Han Solo.
So he was able to carry that whole movie.
But now let's move past Act 1, because that was kind of a mess to get through. But it really started picking up once Han, Chewie, Beckett, and Val were raiding the train. Big action set piece, and now we're actually going somewhere. Then we were meeting Dryden Vos and reuniting with Kira and going on to meet Lando. And here's where the movie really got fun. For one thing, I think Paul Bettany is a great villain as Dryden Vos. He was really threatening and also, like, you know, quirky. It was cool. I really, really liked his character. And for another, I think that introducing us to Kira again in such an unexpected way was really, really smart. You know, right off the bat, you can tell that she's a different person than she was at the beginning of the film. And I think I would have liked to see a little more of that, a little more of the darker side to Kira's life. Okay, now I think we need to talk for a little... You look like the, what's this dude from the cantina? Now we need to talk for a little bit about Lando Calrissian, who is probably everybody's favorite character from this movie. Donald Glover, of course, was brilliant casting. I don't know, Disney's just like killing it with the casting for all of their movies. Lando has plenty of great moments in this movie. A lot of them are speculated to be improvised by Donald Glover, and I think that he steals every scene that he's in.
So I think a film is supposed to just entertain people, and this movie definitely delivered on that front. Another thing that films are supposed to do is have a message behind the movie. If you went to therapy for long enough, you might be able to find out what the message of this movie is.
I've been debating with myself. I've been debating with myself for the past couple of days, ever since I watched it, what the message of the movie is. But for this film, strangely, I think it kind of has an anti-message, or like... So, something that should be taken with a grain of salt. The message of this movie, for me, what I took away from it, is to be careful who you place your trust in. And certain characters take that to an extreme.
Anakin, Chancellor Palpatine is evil! From my point of view, the Jedi are evil! Well, then you are lost!
Overall, as you can tell, we really liked this movie, and we hope that you did too. If you didn't, though, please comment down below and let us know why. What are your problems with this movie? What are the things that you love about this movie?
Give us a really good, solid argument as to why you didn't like this film.
Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't done so yet. Share this video with your friends and family. Leave a like down below, and don't forget to tell your enemies that we are awesome.